You ever give someone your best and get nothing in return? Not anger, not rejection, just silence, just that cold, hollow feeling, like you never mattered. You sent the message, you waited, and all you got back was a read receipt and an empty space. She smiled at others while you stared at your phone. She moved on like you were never even real, and deep down, you kept holding on. Not to her, but to the idea that someday she'd see you. But she won't, because she already decided. She already showed you with her silence, with every ignored text, with every laugh she gave someone else. You were hoping for recognition, but what you didn't realize is that she made her choice. You just haven't made yours. And this video, this isn't content, it's a mirror. Because there are only two kinds of men in this world: those who wait for her to change, and those who change their life when she never does. You already know the truth, but you've been muting it with hope. You've been numbing the pain with excuses. That ends now. This is the moment you learn how to detach. Not for a weekend, not for a reaction, but forever. Number 1, stop waiting for her to change. You wake up hoping that today will be different, that maybe this time she'll reply with warmth. Maybe this time she'll see everything you've done, everything you've endured. But she doesn't. And the worst part, you already know she won't. Not because she's cruel, but because she made her choice a long time ago, and you just haven't made yours. You're not waiting for love. You're waiting for a miracle. That won't come. You think your loyalty is a seed, that if you water it with patience, it will bloom into devotion. But the truth? You've been watering concrete. Nothing is going to grow here. Every ignored message, every broken promise, every smile she gives someone else, they're all signs carved in stone. And you keep waiting, not because you believe in her, but because you're scared to face life without her. You've confused pain with passion. You've mistaken your suffering for strength. But strength isn't staying in a one-sided connection. It's walking away from one. When you know it's killing you slowly, you keep thinking she'll come around, that one day she'll look at you and finally see what she overlooked. But let me be clear, she already knows what she has. She just doesn't want it. And the longer you stay, the more you teach her that she can treat you like an afterthought. And you'll still stay. You've trained her to believe that your silence means permission, that your forgiveness has no boundaries, that your love can be stretched, abused, and neglected. And it'll still come back for more. But people don't change when they're comfortable. They change when they lose something that mattered. And she hasn't lost you, because you haven't left. You think you're being loyal, but you're being afraid. Afraid of starting over, afraid of emptiness, afraid of facing the man in the mirror, without her reflection beside him. But ask yourself this: what are you really afraid of? Living without her, or living without the illusion of her? You don't love who she is. You love who you hope she becomes. You're chasing potential, not reality. And every second you cling to her fantasy, you rob yourself of peace. You keep telling yourself, she just needs time. She's been through a lot. She'll come back around. But how much time does she need to treat you like you matter? She's had time. She's had space. She's had chances. And you've had pain. You've had confusion. You've had enough. But still, you wait. Like a man hoping a storm will turn into sunlight if he just stands in the rain long enough. That's not hope. That's self-betrayal. And the worst part? Every day you stay, you're teaching yourself that love must be earned through suffering. You're living a lesson someone else wrote for you a long time ago. Maybe it was a parent who never gave affection. Maybe it was your first love who left without reason. But somewhere along the line, you believed that pain is proof of love. And that's the lie you must destroy, because you don't owe anyone your peace just because they gave you temporary joy. You don't have to bleed to prove you're worthy. You're not a rescue project. You're not here to fix her. You're here to protect your soul. And sometimes the bravest thing a man can do is walk away while his heart still aches. So what does that look like? It means deleting her number. Not to hurt her, but to protect yourself from slipping back. It means burning the letters, the texts, the songs that keep your heart tangled in yesterday. It means building a daily routine that leaves no room for relapse. Surrounding yourself with brothers who remind you of who you are, not who she made you feel like. It means turning down the music that opens old wounds and turning up the discipline that builds new strength. You stop checking her online status. You stop reading between the lines of her silence, like there's a hidden message there. There isn't. She's not sending signals. You're projecting meaning onto absence because you haven't accepted the truth. You stop rationalizing her inconsistency. You stop calling her distance, space. You stop romanticizing her potential when her reality keeps wounding you. Because you're not here to be someone's second choice. You're here to become someone who never waits to be chosen again. You are the man who reclaims his power, not the one who rents it out for breadcrumbs. And when you finally detach, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity, you'll realize something profound. You were never waiting for her to change. You were waiting for you to finally say, enough. To stop calling pain passion. To stop calling confusion love. To stop calling a closed door a sign to wait outside longer. The door won't open. It was never yours. But you still have keys in your pocket to other doors, other futures, other women who won't make you beg. To feel seen. Let go. Not because she's wrong, but because you're ready to be right with yourself again. Number 2, she's not the prize. You are. From the moment you opened your eyes to the world, you were told a story. Not with words, but through movies, songs, and the silent behavior of those around you. A story that said, a woman's love is the reward, her approval, your validation, her choosing you, the ultimate prize. And you believed it. You grew up thinking your worth had to be earned, that if you tried hard enough, gave enough, suffered enough. She would see you. She would choose you. She would crown you as worthy. But here's the truth most men never hear. You were never supposed to chase her. She was supposed to recognize your value or lose access. Not the other way around, because the moment you start chasing, you abandon yourself. You shift from a man building his world to a man orbiting someone else's. You pedestal her. You place her desires above your purpose. And in doing so, you forget who the real prize is. It's not her, it's you. And I don't say that to inflate your ego. I say it because you've been lied to for so long. You've forgotten what healthy masculinity even feels like. They told you your success means nothing unless a woman approves of it. They told you that unless you're chosen by her, you're still incomplete. But here's what they didn't tell you. You're not meant to perform for attention. You're meant to pursue greatness and let attention chase you. Because when you live like she's the destination, you will always walk in circles. Empty, exhausted, unseen. Millions of men are trapped in this loop, begging for affection from women who've already decided. They don't see them that way. You can't love someone into loving you back. You can't audition for a role in someone else's life when they've already written the script without you. And no, this isn't about turning cold. It's about turning inward. It's about remembering that you are the source, the fire, the fortress, the builder of legacies. Your value isn't measured by how much you suffer for love. It's measured by how fiercely you protect your energy from those who only come to take. Because not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your life, just because they smile nice or look good on camera. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The more you act like she's the prize, the more she'll believe you're not. Because women, like men, are wired for value. And when a man acts like his worth is up for negotiation, when he chases, compromises, over-explains, he signals to her that even he doesn't believe he's enough. And in the brutal logic of attraction, that's the beginning of the end. So what must you become? You must become the man whose presence is a privilege, not a convenience. The man who is so dialed in on his mission, so rooted in his purpose, that any woman who enters his life must level up just to keep up. That kind of man doesn't beg, he builds. He doesn't explain himself. He embodies himself. He moves through the world like his time is sacred, his energy is royal, and his attention is earned. He creates boundaries so strong that even nostalgia can't break through. So how do you get there? You start by mastering your mind. You feed your thoughts with books that sharpen you, mentors who challenge you, and brothers who hold you accountable. You stop scrolling through her stories, looking for clues that you still matter. You stop checking who she's with and what she's posting, because none of that is your concern anymore. You redirect every ounce of that energy inward. You develop skills. You stack wins. You build your body. Because a disciplined body reflects a disciplined mind. You handle your finances. Because financial sovereignty is freedom. You ground yourself in your purpose so deeply that no woman, not even the right one, can pull you off track. And when a woman does come along, you don't chase her, you observe her. Does she match your energy? Does she reciprocate effort? Does she respect your time? Because if she doesn't, you show her the gate, calmly, firmly, finally. You set non-negotiables, no chasing, no begging, no waiting on someone who keeps you guessing. You don't try to be chosen. You choose. You choose peace. You choose purpose. You choose yourself, again and again. And what happens when you do? Paradoxically, you become magnetic. Not because you're trying to impress, but because you're finally living from a place of wholeness. Women, the right women, are drawn to that energy because it radiates clarity, it radiates safety, it radiates masculine presence. And those who don't feel it, those who walk away or try to play games, you let them, because you've outgrown the language of insecurity. You've stopped worshipping at the altar of her attention, and in doing so, you become more than attractive. You become untouchable. You move through life not seeking approval, but offering direction. You stop accepting the bare minimum and start demanding alignment through action, not words. You build friendships that fuel you. You drop anyone who drains you. And most of all, you stop negotiating your worth because you've seen the truth now. She was never the prize. You were. You always were. And it's time you start living like it. Number 3, cut all contact. There comes a moment when a man must walk away, not because he's angry, not to provoke a reaction, but because he's finally awake. You tried, you stayed when she didn't choose you. You answered when she ignored. You explained yourself to someone who never tried to understand. And that quiet voice inside you kept whispering, "She's not confused. She's just not committed." That voice? It was right. If she still has access to you, she still has a grip on your peace. And if you're honest, you feel it. The tug when she posts something cryptic. The ache when she views your story but says nothing. The hope when she sends a casual, "Hey!" But cutting contact isn't a game. It's not a tactic to make her miss you. It's not manipulation dressed in silence. It's the moment you reclaim your soul. Men lie to themselves. They delete her number but keep her photos. They block her but search her name anonymously. They stop texting but rehearse conversations in their heads. That's not detachment. That's disguised dependence. You must see the truth clearly. As long as she's still in your digital world, you're still anchored to her emotionally. Every time you check her profile, you nurture an illusion that something could change. But it won't. Every breadcrumb she tosses, every "just checking in" message, if you reply, you reward her for offering connection without effort, presence without purpose. This doesn't just apply to romance. Emotional parasites can wear many faces: friends who guilt you, family who manipulate, co-workers who control with kindness. That's why you need a code. I do not allow people in my life who treat me like a maybe. So how do you cut contact for real? Not emotionally, permanently. This isn't about a bad day or a flare of hurt feelings. This is the sober recognition that staying accessible to someone who's emotionally unavailable is spiritual self-harm. You're inviting storms into your stillness, letting someone else's chaos narrate your worth. Block her, everywhere. Not to hurt her, but to protect yourself. Delete the threads. Unfriend, unfollow. Disconnect from mutuals if they keep feeding her presence into your life. You don't owe an explanation. You owe yourself clarity. Closure? That's a myth. Strong men create boundaries instead of chasing answers. The pain fades not when she explains, but when you stop waiting for one. And if you break your silence after deciding to detach, you're not repairing the bond. You're reopening the wound. You're handing her the scissors and hoping she trims gently this time. She won't, not because she's evil, but because your lack of boundaries tells her she still owns your attention. Every time you respond, you say, "You still have me." Want to regain power? Say nothing. Mean it. Not to make her wonder, but because you've outgrown the noise. Because access to you is earned, not inherited. And once lost, it's not recovered through tears or timing. It's gone. Still wondering, what if she reaches out? What if she sends that perfectly timed message saying she regrets it all? That's the test. That's the universe asking, are your boundaries real or just rehearsed? That's the ghost of your past knocking, seeing if you still live there. If you answer, you're not healed. You're just hostage again, wearing new shackles with old names. She doesn't miss you. She misses control. She doesn't want to return. She wants to see if she still can. Remember, patterns don't change. They rebrand. Softer words, same manipulation. If her message isn't backed by transformation, it's just perfume on poison. Don't drink it. You want to heal. Then stop checking her page, looking for closure. Stop hoping to see a quote that secretly means you. Stop imagining conversations where you finally explain yourself. You don't need to be understood. You need to be free. And freedom has a price. Silence. Not the silence that waits to be broken, the kind that builds walls, that draws lines, that says, "I've walked far enough that even if you scream, I can't hear you." And in that silence, you heal, not because time passes, but because attention returns home. Back to your breath, back to the gym, back to your craft, back to the version of you before she became your compass. Each day, you don't reach out, you rebuild. Each day, you don't look back, the chains loosen. Each day, you stay silent, your power returns. This isn't bitterness. This is becoming. Because every excuse you gave for her absence was a betrayal of yourself. Every time you said, "She's just going through something," what you meant was, "I'm afraid to be alone." But alone is not your enemy. Alone is your reset. It's where clarity lives. You are not an afterthought, not a backup, not an almost. You are the one who decides who enters, who stays, who gets access. So stop romanticizing her indifference. Stop replaying highlight reels that mute the disrespect. Stop calling it complicated when it's simply one-sided. And if you ever catch yourself saying, "I just want to know if she's okay," let me save you the trouble. She is. And even if she's not, it's not your responsibility anymore. Your job is you, your peace, your purpose. If she valued you, you'd never have to decode silence. Real love is not a riddle. It's a reflection. And when it's right, it sees you clearly. Cut contact. For good. Not because you hate who she is, but because you finally love who you are becoming. Number 4. Build a life. She can't enter. You don't need to get even. You need to evolve. Not with rage, not with regret, but with relentless growth that turns the man who once waited by the phone into someone she wouldn't recognize anymore, even if she tried. You cut contact not to make space for her return, but to make space for your rebirth. She had her chance. She didn't see your value. Now you build a life so strong, so rooted, so disciplined that her name doesn't echo in it anymore. Not out of bitterness, out of purpose. And it starts with your body, not to impress, not to post, for you. Because discipline in your body becomes clarity in your mind. Wake early, train hard, walk in silence, sweat under the weight of your own willpower. Let the cold teach you what she never could, how to endure without needing warmth from anyone else. Then build your finances, slowly, quietly, methodically. Don't chase millions overnight. Chase freedom, learn, invest, stack skills like bricks in a foundation no one can shake. Let every dollar be a brick in a fortress she no longer has the key to. Now, build your mind. Read not to escape, but to return to yourself. Listen to wisdom, not gossip. Feed your brain with legacy, not lust. Starve distraction, fuel vision. And as your habits change, your circle must too. Cut the men who keep you small. Cut the voices that anchor you in old stories. Surround yourself with warriors who don't flinch when the past calls. This isn't about proving anything to her. It's about becoming so aligned with your mission that her absence feels like silence, not pain. You rebuild spiritually too. Reconnect with something higher than both you and her. Call it God, purpose, legacy, or just inner peace. Plug into it every day. Let it remind you that you're not here to seek validation. You're here to build something timeless. And if one day she comes back, knocking gently, smiling like before, you don't open the door. Not out of ego, but because that door leads to a life you no longer live in. She chose comfort. You chose evolution. And that choice built a world she can no longer enter. You'll see her watching from the sidelines one day maybe. Curious, regretful. But the version of you she once knew will no longer exist. Because that man was a chapter. And this man is the book. Number 5. Become the man. She can't reach anymore. The final evolution of a man isn't when he disappears from her sight. It's when he rises to a place she can no longer touch. Not physically, but mentally. Not emotionally, but spiritually. To become the man she can't reach anymore means killing the version of you that begged for closure. It means deleting the belief that her silence held secret meaning, that her inconsistency was some kind of test, that if you just held on long enough, she'd return. You rise when you stop waiting. You transform when you stop explaining. You ascend when her absence becomes irrelevant. This isn't something that happens by accident. It's a decision and a discipline. You wake up every morning not to chase closure, but to chase clarity. You build habits so rooted in growth. Her name no longer echoes in your mind. You master your thoughts. You quiet the voice that once asked, "What did I do wrong?" You silence the urge to check, to reply, to justify, because real power is in the stillness, not the pretending, not the posturing, but the peace that no longer needs a witness. You stop engaging in the games. The late night, just thinking of you texts. The nostalgic phone calls laced with doubt. The carefully timed breadcrumbs meant to keep you emotionally available. You don't just ignore them, you no longer notice them. Because when you rise far enough, the noise fades. And what once held your heart hostage now barely stirs a memory. This is where the real detachment lives. Not in blocking her, not in deleting photos, but in reaching a level where her name becomes a footnote in your story, not the title. You become the man who stops looking back, the man who doesn't entertain fantasies about what could have been, because he's too busy living what is. And when she reaches out, because she will, not out of love, but out of curiosity, out of control, out of habit, you don't respond. Not because you hate her, but because you finally love yourself enough not to go backward. You understand that healing is not about closure, it's about clarity. And clarity says, that chapter is done, that door is sealed. That man who waited, who chased, who hoped, no longer lives here. And in his place stands a man who is rooted, focused, quietly powerful. A man who no longer negotiates with disrespect, who doesn't chase what withdraws, who doesn't bend for breadcrumbs. And as you step fully into this man, everything shifts. Your walk, your presence, your energy. Because true detachment isn't loud. It radiates, it commands. And with that shift, the world changes too. Opportunities open. People respect you differently. And women, they don't wonder how to get your attention. They wonder if they're worthy of keeping it. You don't do this to impress her. You do this to become untouchable. And maybe one day she sees you again, from a distance, with success in your eyes, peace in your posture, and fire in your steps. And she'll whisper, I knew him once. But it won't matter, because by then, you will have become a man so complete, so magnetic, that even her memory has no power left. You don't rise by hurting her. You rise by no longer needing her. You weren't born to kneel for love that blinds itself to your worth, to shrink for approval that only exhausts your soul, to beg for attention from someone who would never bleed for you. You were born to build, to rise so high in discipline, clarity, and presence, that every room quiets when you walk in. So stop rewinding, stop wondering, start becoming. Today, without apology, choose yourself. Not because you're bitter, but because peace is no longer negotiable. The only thing you lose by walking away is the illusion that you ever needed to stay. Real men don't chase validation. They embody truth. They command respect by the life they create. If this speaks to your core, drop a comment. I choose power. Subscribe. Share. Not just for you, but for every man still trapped in a silence he never asked for. Because when you rise, you don't just free yourself, you light the way for others.